Welcome back to the Toyline Breakdown, the show where we talk about cartoons, movies and the weird forgotten franchises of the 80s and the 90s. And we ask the most important question of all, did it have a toy line? Today we're diving into a peak 90s science fiction world. A show that sort of feels like it comes from another timeline, but in the best possible way. Because today we're talking about the amazing Space Precinct. Now, if you're hearing that title and thinking Space Precinct, isn't that like a cop show? You're absolutely right. This isn't just laser guns and spaceships and explosions. This is a straight up cop show. In the future, with aliens. In space. I thought this show was set in 2040 because the logo literally says 2040. But it turns out that's the badge number of the main character here, Officer Broen. I think that's a quite stupid decision. Let's make a show about the future. We put something that looks like it's a year into the logo, and we just assume that all the viewers of this show are pure geniuses and they will understand that this is a badge number. Well, that didn't quite work out, did it? Maybe you should have put some of those so-called geniuses into making the toy line, because they sure as hell wasn't present when that was done. But we'll get back to that. This show is basically Law and Order, but everyone that gets arrested might have 3 eyes or tentacles or, be green in color. So the definition of illegal is sort of different than what we're used to. What I think makes Space Precinct a quite interesting show is that 90s feel. It has that kind of, cheesy kind of vibe, but it also tries to be serious at times. It's futuristic for sure, but it's not like any polished or shined show like Star Trek perhaps. This is more of a, call it gritty kind of show. To me, Space Precinct has everything you need to make a fantastic toy line. It has heroes, civilians, villains, awesome uniform designs, a whole lineup of weird, quirky alien characters. It has the gadget, it has the weapons, it has the sci-fi equipment. And it sure as hell has some potential for some amazing playsets. So today I really want to find out, why do we not talk about Space Precinct that much as a toy line? And perhaps we find the answer when we ask ourselves, did it actually get a proper toy line? Because Space Precinct sure as hell is one of those series which had the potential to be an amazing toy line. They had characters enough to fill, whole walls in toy stores back in the days. But when you really start to look into what they actually made, you're thinking like, where is everything? So today we're gonna break down each and every toy they made, and we're gonna find out. To all of you who are not familiar with Space Precinct, I'm gonna read a little summary of what the show was all about. The series stars American actor Ted Shackelford. He's a former New York City Police Department detective, Patrick Broen. He's now a lieutenant at the Demeter City Police Force on the planet Alter. The planet is located in an Epsilon Eridani star system. Broen has a partner, Jack Haldane. He's played by Rob Youngblood, and they both have to adapt to a life in a completely different star system, while they're investigating crimes committed by both humans and aliens. The show also features Danish actress Simon Bendix as Officer Jane Castle. She becomes the love interest of Haldane. Broen, on the other hand, is already married. He has a wife and children, and they relocated with him to Demeter City. Most of the other major characters are aliens. They were all portrayed by actors in detailed prosthetic makeup, often combined with puppetry elements, to bring the different species to life. Now, that was a little summary of what the series is all about. On the positive side, Space Precinct was definitely one of those toy lines that made me look into, shall I say, the more weird and obscure lines, because this is a weird and obscure lines. And that's because the series didn't take off. They only made a few episodes and it crashed. It was meant to be something real big and they gave it their all, but that didn't turn out the way it was supposed to. The action figures come on these small cards and they are they're like a G.I. Joe in size. Before we start diving into the different characters they gave out, we're gonna look at the back of the card to see everything that came out. They actually made 12 characters and 2 vehicles, so they're also going all in on the toy line, as they were doing on the series. As we can see on the back of the card, we have Lieutenant Broen, 1, because he has 2 variants. We have Officer Haldane, we have Captain Podley, we have Slow-Mo, we have Sergeant Fredo, And I think they look amazing. You have to get a smile on the face when you look at these action figures. You have Officer Castle, Officer Took, then we have Lieutenant Broen 2, we have Officer Orin, we have just named Cyborg, we have Snake, which I think looks amazing in the picture, and we have Morgo. Then we have the police bike, which looks really futuristic. Love the design. Like the big hitter here, we have the police cruiser. And I think it's funny that they've pointed out electronic, like we're in the future, this is electronic. And this police cruiser I had almost forgotten about until I started doing the research for this episode. This is really something I want to add to my collection, because I do not have this yet. And this is also a toy line which you can get quite cheap, and it brings you the exact same joy as a more expensive toy line. They look amazing when displayed on the shelf, which is why I love to pick up this kind of series. It's history, they have the popping colors, and they have some quirky and fun designs. Now we're gonna look at the 6 characters which I do have in my collection. We start off with the main guy, Officer Broen. As I mentioned earlier, Officer Broen came in 2 versions. I actually have them both, so we can look at them both. This is as it says on the back of the card, this is Lieutenant Broen 1. He's quite your basic police character. You can move his arms and his legs. The gun that it comes with here does not look like the one in the picture. This looks like sort of a massive gun. And these characters also comes with these cards. They're not your traditional collector card, because this look like a sort of police card. I think this is quite cool that they added this. You can see on the picture on this card art that it's just a cutout from the actual series, and I think it works quite well. The sculpting here doesn't really resemble the character. This is not like a hot toy or a modern NECA figure which actually look like the character. This is a cheap ass toy, if you know what I mean. The producer of these toys were Vivid Imaginations. It's not really a familiar name in the action figure world. I haven't found any other, shall I say, epic action figure series that I've done, but please let me know in the comments if you have any knowledge. Next up is the second version of Lieutenant Broen. I think this is a quite weird choice. Why did they have to make 2 versions of Lieutenant Broen? They look basically exactly the same, just with his jacket on and with his jacket off. And to me, this is not like an epic character, like a Ninja Turtle that deserves a whole bunch of different versions. It's not like you make it anymore be collectible because bam, we took his jacket off. It comes with what looks like to be a space bazooka. And space bazooka to me sounds quite awesome. But it doesn't get that much awesomeness when it comes with what looks like to be an old guy. Lieutenant Broen is definitely not a very old guy in the series, but this action figure, the face mold, makes him look 20 years older than he actually is. He also comes with his card and a cutout from the series. But this picture looks actually like a portrait, while the other one looked like it's just a cutout from one of the episodes. One thing I also didn't think of when I was talking about the first version is on his police card. He's actually waving his gun. Like, imagine that when you start your first day as a police officer and you're gonna take the picture for your ID card and you start waving your gun around. Quite a weird one. This is Officer Haldane. This is Brogan's partner. Yeah, I understood why they have to put him out, because these are the 2 main characters of course, but it's just another cop, you know. They look almost exactly the same, just with different head molds. But what's interesting about this one, I think, is the weapon, because I do not understand what's coming out of this weapon. Has this weapon been lying in water so it started growing mushrooms? Is this like a Super Mario weapon? I do not understand the design of this weapon, but maybe I'm overthinking. In his picture, he looks fucking frightened. He also has they just used the same cutout on all of this on the police card that comes with them. It's just funny. One of the guys is standing with a gun in his picture. The other one looks like he's about to shit his pants. So, funny decisions. Now, the 3 last characters that I do have are the more fun ones. And I think I have to complete this line, actually, now that I'm looking at them and talking about them. I love these quirky lines. This is Slow-Mo. And Slow-Mo has a green card. That did not come out right, but he has actually a green card. I think this is sort of little bit maybe rip-off of R2-D2. They made their own kind of robot to resemble. They saw the success in Star Wars and wanted to ride on that wave, I think. I think he has a quite funny design. It looks sort of like a vacuum cleaner with a head on. Do not know what his accessories are here. One of them looks like sort of a mirror, maybe, and a third arm, and a Lego connector. I know it's not a Lego connector, but it looks like that. Also quite funny that they made him pose for his card. You know, you make the robot turn his head and pose. When you start to look into these lines and go into details, you never do this in the daily, but when you really start to look at the details, they messed up quite a bit. Also, this toy feels, I know I do not have it loose, I only have it carded, but it feels quite fragile. I do not think this one survives that much play. It's a funny character. A good addition, and it's the only robot. Or you have this bad guy, I think, that's called Cyborg, but this is the only one that really resembles a robot. So this is a good add to the toy line. This is Captain Podley. Man, this guy has a funny design. Why did they have to give him a PC screen as an accessory? This has to be the most boring guy in the office. What can we find for Captain Podley? You know, we give him a PC screen and a Q-tip. Because that's what it looks like. He has a gun, you know, in the picture of the back of the card, but I don't understand the accessories. He's a police officer. How the fuck is he supposed to defend himself with a Q-tip and a PC screen? PC screen. But this design is sort of what I really wish they had made even more of, because this has some originality. Yeah, you can say it's a rip-off of Star Trek and Star Wars, but I do not really think so. So I think this is an awesome character with some bad accessories. Now I saved my favorite of the ones I do have for last. This is Snake. He's one of the bad guys in the series. The only thing I have to pick on this one is that I think he looks so much more evil in the series than they managed to make him look as a toy. You can see in the picture here, awesome character design. But because of the cheap moldings and the cheap production of these toys, the toy doesn't do the figure justice, I think. But still an amazing figure. It comes with a bomb and a screwdriver. Not a drink, but an actual screwdriver. I don't understand all these accessories on this toy line. A cool detail is that they made the character card, or the... I don't know what to call this, because on the other guys they were police cards, but this is definitely not a police card. But they made the cards red, and I think that's good attention to detail. So I'm gonna credit Vivid Imaginations for that. Now, all in all, I think this is a toy line you definitely should pick up. If you love 90s, or if you love science fiction, or if you just love to have quirky action figures in your collection. These sort of figures give me a good feeling. I love all the ideas. I love that even though they are, you know, cheap, quirky toys with a whole bunch of random accessories, someone actually put their heart and soul into making this. Someone sat down once upon a time and, you know, actually planned this out. They made the sketches, they put them into production, and they were quite proud of what they made. And I have respect for that. And that's what I love about toy history. Even how bad or how good the characters turned out, or what you or me might mean about them, someone actually designed them. Someone produced them, and someone thought out the meaning behind them. And if you are a 90s collector, you should definitely have 1 or 2 Space Precinct figures in your collection. Now, what do you think about the Space Precinct? Both the series and the toy line. Have you watched it? Do you have any of the action figures in your collection? Does any of you have them loose, so I can know if how they are to play with, you know, to move them around? I would really be curious to know. And I'm definitely going to be looking for that police cruiser, which look absolutely amazing. I've seen it around on some toy fairs, but I never really picked it up, and well, I wish I had. It would mean a lot to me if you checked out my other episodes, both the Toyline Breakdown and the best action figure in the world. Thank you.